All right, guys. So at this point, we are going to go over the Proclamation of 1763 assignment that is posted on Google Classroom. It's a classwork assignment, and it involves a little bit of reading. So you're doing this after you've completed the Ed puzzle on the Proclamation of 1763. After you complete that, you're going to this reading assignment. So what we are going to do is we are going to look at this reading of the Proclamation of 1763 and these notes. So the first thing that you're going to notice is it says Proclamation of 1763 notes. And then it has paragraph number, what happened, notes, and then why would it hurt the relationship between the colonists and Britain. So what you're going to do is you're going to take notes on each one of these paragraphs that you're reading. So going back to the reading, I will read it for you now. At the end of the French and Indian War, 1754 to 1763, England had defeated all her enemies and was victorious on all fronts. So they won in Europe too in that 7 Years' War. Remember, it had two different names, the French and Indian War in North America and the 7 Years' War in Europe. With the signing of the Treaty of Paris in 1763, ending that French and Indian War, France's influence was completely eliminated from North America. So remember our two maps we looked at? We looked at the map before the French and Indian War and the French after. And the French got kicked out of North America. Canada was English. As were all the lands east of the Mississippi River to the Atlantic Ocean. Great Britain was supreme. The vast territories gained after years of struggle now had to be protected. A great Indian uprising in 1763, led by Chief Pontiac, was a clear warning of how weak the border was with the absence of British soldiers. So at this point, you're going to go to your notes. Take notes on what we just read in paragraph 1. So what really happened there? And how would it hurt? Come up with an idea of how would what happened hurt the relationship with the colonists in Great Britain. Now that you've taken notes on paragraph 1, we'll go to paragraph 2. England had a war debt of 120 million pounds sterling. So that's their form of money. So like it'd be dollars in America. They call it pounds sterling. The mother country wanted to keep the military establishment at a minimum. So they didn't want a huge military because it's expensive to have a huge military. We see that in the United States. A lot of our funding goes to the military because we have a huge military. She was anxious for the Americans to pay their fair share of the costs, especially the maintenance of the troops along the frontier and in the outposts. So England wants the colonists to pay their fair share for keeping troops in the American colonies and in those new lands that were taken from the French. The king and his ministers had a ready solution, and it was clearly stated in the Proclamation of 1763 as enacted by England's Parliament. No settlers would be allowed west of the Allegheny and Appalachian Mountains. This would ensure that the Indians, Native Americans, would remain at peace. No large groups of British troops would have to be housed in the western regions and the outposts if the Native Americans remained peaceful. The land west of the Allegheny and Appalachian Mountains would be Indian hunting grounds. Anyone settled in that region would have to move back to the colonies. So, paragraph 2. What happened? What are your notes on paragraph 2 based on what we read? And then why would those things hurt the relationship between the colonists and Britain? Think about this, right? Some of these colonists had already moved out west, and now they're being told they have to move back. Other colonists had bought land out west. Now they're being told they can't use it. It's not their land anymore. How would that hurt the relationship between the colonists and Britain? Now to paragraph 3. The colonists were angered by the Proclamation of 1763. As far as they were concerned, this was a poor attempt to hold back the westward movement. The colonists, to a large extent, simply ignored the proclamation of 1763 and continued to move across the mountains into the Ohio country. Remember that good fur trading, good fertile soil in the Ohio River Valley, good for farming. Even today, if you drive through the Ohio River Valley, you're going to see nothing but farms. The colonists wanted the lands to the west. After all, why else was the French and Indian War fought? The reaction to the proclamation of 1763 was the first of the complaints the colonists lodged against the crown, and it remained a sore point through the whole period leading to the War for Independence, that American Revolution that we're going to talk about. Seen this map before, right? Seen this map before, where the British now have all of this land, but they're saying, hey, colonists, you can't move west of this proclamation line. So, notes for paragraph 3, and then why would it hurt the relationship with the colonists in Great Britain? And that is your assignment for today after you finish the Ed puzzle.